Welcome everyone to the first episode of Price Targets with your host Bitcoin Jack. I'm happy to announce that I'm going to be hosting a little recap about Bitcoin every week. The price action has been really boring for the last 2 months. I think it's a great opportunity to train my vlogging skills a little bit, and I also just wanted for a while. I've been thinking about it for a while, just to try a different way to communicate content. As for the structure of the show, I think it's going to be mainly Bitcoin and majors. And I'm going to try and keep these episodes as short as possible, just not too much explanations, just enjoyable content to watch on your way to, I don't know, to your job if you still work outside, or maybe when you wake up or before you go to bed, or whenever you like to consume this kind of content. I just want it to be short. Not everyone is too interested in the technical sides and just want to know and keep up to date with the market. So if there's enough interest, I might try and do a recap of these videos sometime later in the week, where I kind of answer more in detail questions about the technicals, or just explain it in general and answer the questions. I think that's, can keep these videos to maybe 15 minutes. And then the other video could be an hour or less, depending on how large of an area we have to cover. So I think we should just start out with Bitcoin and keep it as simple as possible this week. Just get our price action out there. I think there's a few zones on the way down from the 20k top on the weekly chart that are important. Just change this color because I don't like green. I'm just gonna go with black and just dot them. Thinner. Yeah, that's fine. So there's this area where there were buyers on the way down, and then this entire area, and the one I'm specifically mostly interested in is this one. And I want to highlight the middle point of this weekly buy candle. Let's see. Yeah, so the middle between the open and the close on that candle is gonna use it different. Yeah, that one is 10,498, which is interesting because it aligns very nicely with the three tops here. We'll talk about that later. So I'll just stick this one in there too. And then to the downside, I think the most important levels we're dealing with is either this entire bearish candle right here. So I'll just highlight that like that. And I kind of like this weekly thingy here too. So there is a weekly support right there. And then there is this entire supply range right here. That price action is kind of trapped in between. And I'm going to change this to gray, like super light gray. Cool. Because I want to highlight this weekly range. So that weekly range was the range that we were looking at as the last final kind of buying in this little distribution area. So I'm just going to call this distribution. Bam. And I do think that whatever is happening after that is accumulation. And the reason why is simple. There's been 3 moves down. This is generally something I think is very important. And every move down swiped the low, reclaimed it, rallied into the same resistance. Happened here again. Nuked it, reclaimed it, rallied into the blue box. So this is a huge reaccumulation. Another reason to think that this is reaccumulation is the impulsive nature of this move. It's kind of obvious or evident that this was clearly an impulsive move, which then is followed by distribution, reaccumulation, bam, bam. Now the question is whether we already like kind of finished this move up, or that it's going to get broken. You got to consider that, sure, bears were in charge heavily right here, but after that we had 1, 2, 3 tests, including that one is 4 in total of this supply zone. So don't forget that this is an exhausted supply zone. This is exhausted resistance. Does that mean it's going to break it? Nah, I mean, doesn't have to. It kind of depends on whether there's buyers or not. And I don't know. There might be just some huge ass pocket who wants to sell too. So in the end, we don't know, I guess. But I just want to point out that the moment that expansion happens is because a certain area is exhausted. There's no more to be accumulated. Everyone who wanted to sell sold. And then once it breaks out, it's like everyone is, I don't know, wrong. All these people who are wrong will have to like buy back into it, especially considering that if we go above this level right here, the stops and the majority of liquidations are going to happen right at this high. So the majority of the liquidation is going to happen there. So it's like about 50% from the middle of the range, assuming that on average everyone got like the middle of the range price for their shorts. Pumping it to 14k is enough to liquidate pretty much every short. And then there's a lot of stops right there. So imagine all those liquidations and then a bunch of stops getting hit on a low spread. That could create a huge wick. So I do think that if we claim blue, that we're potentially going to go up all the way to this supply zone here from the first week of 2018, actually. That's kind of funny. Let's make this green. Thicker. Jesus, that looks ugly. That too. That's better. So, I don't know. That's the bullish case. And I do think that if this was an impulsive move right here, then if this was the reaccumulation, then it's got to either become an ABC with A here. No. A, B, C. Or this was the first wave of the bull run, actually, and this is wave 2. And then we're going to eventually go much higher. But I do think that this is still like an ABC move, and that we're going to get like another, I don't know, ABC move after that region back into support, and then from there on kind of build our actual technical bull run, but not too sure. So this is the very reason why I'm so bullish, is whales need counter liquidity, and if I'm correct, everyone's been selling, a lot of retail has been selling here, obviously here too. But it kind of seems that there's a good chance that there's not enough counter liquidity right here for whales to sell. So there's a lot of sideline money still. We can see the Tether supply being super high and everything. I do think that they need to lure that money into the distribution process, which kind of means that we have to go here for whales to reduce their exposure. And that's the reason why I do think we're going there. Do we go there straight away? I don't know. Kind of tough to say. In all its simplicity, right now we're kind of trapped between two weekly sell and buy zones, which form our range. Which is this weekly level right here, which corresponds with the top of this selling candle back in June 2019. And it's also the kind of like doji right here from May to 20. So it kind of makes sense to be a buyer between I don't know, let's say 86, 8700, which is kind of this area right here. But if that breaks, either we're going to reaccumulate, and this was indeed like a little bit of distribution, and then we're going to reaccumulate below the level, and I think it's going to be within this candle. If it's not within that candle, it means that we're losing this area right here. And then I do think we're gonna go and scoop out this wick right here. I think it's gonna take it out. So let me drag a little line there. The point is that if we go down, let me do a double here because there's another one here. So this area. The point here is that I don't want to be a buyer on a potential trend shift. If the trend here was up and this becomes a trend reversal, I don't want to be a blind buyer. There's too many levels. There's too much noise down here. Too many levels that have been tested, not the first like fresh test. Like for example, this level here, you know, like it was formed, you had an expansion, nuked, retested, held a little bit, nuked. The level is absolutely fucked, I think. That said, doesn't matter really what happens. Like what I'm trying to explain is where I would be a buyer again. And I think it's simple. We'll lose this. I'll try to be a buyer right here. If we don't go there, I'll be a buyer as we reclaim that blue box there. If price comes here in a little circle and it doesn't manage to hold it, then I'll be a seller here. At that point, I'm going to be a buyer if price touches this level right here. I might deviate from that plan, but I'm going to be very, very, very careful if we start to dump. And the reason why is because I think that we need to pump. I literally think that we need to pump. So that means if we dump, my view on the market is kind of, I don't know, in trouble. And then I'm not going to be a degenerate, like calling buy the fucking dip as we capitulated on March 13. Or as sure as I was to short right here. And the reason why I'm not shorting right now is because man, 1, 2, 3, arguably 4 on this thing right there. Just doesn't make sense. It's too complicated right now to short it. It's too much risk, especially considering that everyone who bought here, no, who sold there is wrong. That's a lot of FOMO to make up for. So reaccumulation. And let's consider the length of that, right? So let's say reaccumulation happened as we exited the distribution. That's 280 days. Okay. There is a reaccumulation pattern right here that maybe lasted like 18 days, 18 weeks. And then there's this distribution pattern that lasted about whoop-de-fucking-do 40 weeks, which kind of doubled the price down. Let's see. Yeah. More or less. You see that? 40 weeks, doubling price. So, I don't know. I think people should be sincerely scared if they're short. A lot of buyers back then, right here, were a lot of buyers. Everyone thought we were going to go back to, 20K. No, man. So exhausted support, that held for like 40 weeks. I don't see how this is different. So it's just insane. It's just insane. Look, let's see. Fib levels based on log scale. We mute that out. Yeah. That is scary. Because this is literally the same as this. And the reason for the downside is that I had to go with fib level actually accustomed to log scales, because otherwise it's gonna like go beyond 0, like below 0. For the other way around, you're allowed. So doubling price here and then doubling it again, then that doesn't look like doubling, but we're on log scale. Like if I turn off log scale, you'll see this. Yeah, like that. So, I don't know, man. Like, if I look, so if I do the log scale, obviously we end up here, but that's just maybe a long-term thing, but not for now. Absolutely no fucking way. But this kind of makes sense, which kind of aligns with this whole split of the range, I guess. Like that. You can see how, you can see how that's similar. So I think that really was it for Bitcoin. We can look at so many different things, but this is a fairly surfacey but clear yeah, I don't know. I think that's really it. If you have any questions, just post them, and I'll have a look at them next week. I want to thank you all for watching, and till next time.